Hey guys, what's going on? Just going to do a quick rundown of how the tiebreakers work because I know it can get a little bit complicated. So I'm just going to do this in case people would prefer to just hear how it happens. And when I finalize these tiebreakers, once group is over, you have a sense of how it works. So left-hand side, I have all the eligible teams, and um, we have to break the group tie breaks first. So we have to go through each group that has multiple tie teams and go in there and come out with one team from each group essentially. So for example, I have these sorted by groups. You can see group P has three guys who are tied. And according to the group tie break, it's head to head first, but these guys all beat each other. So the next tie break is point differential. So for group P, Jay Brooks comes out ahead and moves on to the play-in tiebreaker. So group A, E, F, G, H, I, J all have one player that makes it. So they move on to the tiebreak. Add them to the list. And then for group L, Colvican and Nostradamus, Nostra beat Colvican, so he moves on to the group tiebreak. And Colvican must wait until at some point if Nostra makes it into the actual play-in. So Protege and Dizzy beat Protege, so we'll move on to the tiebreak. We did the group P already. Q, Big Red, Gifted. All three are tied. So we go to the point differential because head to head they all beat each other. So we move on to point differential and Big Red comes out of Q. Group R, Sanchez and Arn. Arn beat Sanchez, so he moves on to the tiebreak. Group S only has Tadeo, so he moves to the tiebreak. So essentially, we're just going through all the groups, breaking all the ties with the groups, and then in the middle box here is the actual running of the tiebreakers to see who makes it to the bracket playing game. All right, Bama and Speed. Speed beat Bama. And then 8-bit and Player all coming our single group guys. And then Sega beat Eddie, so he goes here. Okay, so these guys here on the left are basically the players who did not make it out of the group tiebreak. Now they can return once I figure out the seeds. So for example, I'm going to run the first tiebreak for the play-in, see who's going to be the number one seed. The the first tiebreak is strength of victory, and then point differential. So strength of victory, these are all the guys. So Big Red has a strength of victory of 1 with the highest point differential. So he is the number one seed. And you see how he's in group Q? Now I can go back here and bring in either Flo or Gifted to come and be part of the tiebreakers. And since Flo beat Gifted, he moves on to the tiebreak. So I added him back there, do strength of victory, point differential sort. Jay Brooks comes out. He's at a P. Group P had two other guys, so it's Retro Nate and Zach. Zach beat Retro Nate, so Zach moves on. And Nate has to hope that Zach qualifies, so then that way Nate can make it to the tiebreak. All right, so point differential. Arnco is next at a Group R. And Group R has Sanchez. So he comes into the tiebreak now, but you see he has a high strength of victory, so he wins this tiebreak and moves right on as the 4 seed. Group R, so there's no more Group R, so now we're just left with these guys here. The next highest point differential is Nostradamus. Out of Group L. So Group L, that means Colvican can now be part of the tiebreak. And since he has a strength of victory of 2, he wins the next tiebreak. So he's now the 6th seed. There's no more Group L's here, so we move on to here. The next is Sega. He's a 7 seed. He came out of Group X. Group X had Eddie. He's now part of the tiebreak. And since he has a high strength of victory, he is going to win this tiebreak. No more out of Group X here, so next up is Flo out of Group Q. So now that he qualified, V Gifted now is eligible. And the next one is Dizzy out of Group M. Group M now allows Protege to come into the tiebreak. He has a strength of victory of 2, so he's going to be next to win. All right, next point differential, Zach out of Group P, which means Retro Nate can now be a part of the tiebreak. And he has the highest strength, the highest point differential out of strength of victories of 1. Then now you can see it's down to, so Gifted comes out of Q. He has lowest point differential. Next up is Speed out of Group U. And then because Bama is in Group U, he still has strength of victory of 1 and becomes the last and final seed. Now, Bama is in a group of Speed, Barletti, and MX. And so if Barletti wins, um, this may change some of the strength of victories, but given that Speed is always going to be ahead of him, he's likely always going to fall behind Speed, unfortunately. So you can see how that works. I hope it made sense. Essentially, you're going to be stuck behind a guy that you lose a tiebreaker within your group. So you can see someone like Bama Tecmo has -3 with an SOV of 1, but because Speed beat him head to head, he could never surpass Speed in the ranking. So that's why he falls at 16. So there you have it. Hope that made sense. And feel free to chat.